Hello, intrepid followers, subscribers, and watchers of my YouTube videos. It's another Cosplay in the Geekfort. And today we have Jerikandra Cosplay. Hello, how are you?
Hi there, I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting
Cool.
me.
I'm glad you got to come along and share your journey as a cosplayer with us.
Yes, me too.
Cool. So let's jump into the questions. So tell me about what led you to start cosplaying.
So I was actually in modeling in 2012 or 2013 and doing like amateur runway stuff like that. And so I would look up online for uh, actual like runway shows that for certain kinds. And one of the kinds I was looking for was costume, just because that seemed like easy enough to do. And none of it was for pay, mind you, necessarily. Most of it was not, but it was just for experience and for fun. It was my hobby at the time. And so I saw someone putting on a costume runway show. And so I signed up for it and they met with me. And this girl had basically made all her costumes and needed models because she was just showing them all off in a show. And so at the time, like segue or separate tangent, really, I saw the movie The Avengers, the original Avengers movie that came out back then. And I was like, oh my God, I need to be Black Widow. Like, I'm just really excited about the whole Black Widow aesthetic. Um, and so after I did that runway show, I got to know this girl, and her name was Abby Sue Cosplay, um, and I commissioned her to make me my first costume, which was a Black Widow. Ended up being from Iron Man 2, not the Avengers version, mostly because I wanted the long hair version, so just for that aesthetic. And so she made me my first costume. That was like in the summer, and I'm just like, cool, I have a costume. It's not Halloween. What do I do with this? Where can I wear this? And so what she ended up doing was like signing me up to go to these charity events with costume characters for causes. For example, going outside of Fred Meyer and raising money for the food bank and stuff like that. Um, or raising food, taking food donations and stuff like that as well. So she took me to PAX and I was just like, oh my God. And she was Rogue, I was Black Widow. And that was my first time at a Comic-Con. And from there, it turned into this thing, like this cosplay thing. And I got to learn all about Comic-Cons. There's not one Comic-Con, there's one like every weekend somewhere in the US. Um, and so we went to Rose City actually right after that. And she's like bringing 5 costumes, and I'm like, I'm Black Widow. Why are you bringing all these other costumes? And um, so I started like trying other costumes. Like I'd get store-bought costumes. I'd have her like make me parts of costumes. I had a conglomerate like stuff where she'd make like the top for something, and then I'd buy the skirt for something, stuff like that. But it wasn't until a whole year later that I was like, all right, Abby, I want to try to make something. Like, how do I do this? And so she taught me to sew. I've never sewed before. I mean, I'd done like, hand sewing patches and stuff like that before, but I'd never used a sewing machine, any of that. So yeah, so she taught me to sew. She taught me to pattern. She creates all her patterns. And so she kind of taught me to do that. Some of my first costumes, she mostly created the patterns for me. But yeah, I got into all the sewing.
So since doing your Black Widow cosplay, what has been your favorite part of cosplaying that you've done, like that you really like about it?
This is always such a hard question. And so I tend to say like whatever my latest costume is. Um, but I also, so my latest one is a Psylocke. It's a latex Psylocke costume. And both of my latex Psylocke costumes are probably some of my favorites because they were very complex. They used transparent latex instead of, having bare skin. And so it's a full cat suit using transparent latex in the spots where you'd expect to see just skin. And so it all kind of stayed together well. And it was like a nice purple color. Um, so yeah, so that was one. But also uh Batgirl, latex Batgirl, which I've remade the catsuit itself once already so far. I need to do it again. But the utility belt on that actually was a lot of extra work, that and it included hand sewing, and I hate hand sewing. So
So let's go back and talk about Psylocke. So when you say it's a full bodysuit, skin part as well as the costume part of it, so you sewed the purple to the skin coloring, or did you find it in dye? Like, how did you make that the two blend together so well?
yeah, sure. First off, I need to say latex is not sewn; it's glued. So that's
Oh,
I could talk a whole lot more about latex.
oh my goodness. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
latex is all glued. So you can't sew it because it'll poke holes in the fabric, and those holes will rip. And so so yeah,
Oh,
so you have to glue it. And so but the answer to your question is yes, that I took, strips of purple, sewed them onto the transparent in the spots where you have the purple stripes in, and then same thing with the legs for Psylocke as well. So yeah, so it was really a full cat suit, arms and legs, and it zipped up and everything. But it looks like, it looks like a Psylocke suit where it's not a full cat suit. So it's kind of cool that way. And I worked up to that. Like my first cat suit I ever made for latex was Batgirl. It's all one color. It wasn't even correct. Like it was Batgirl from Burnside, and she has like black stripes up the side of her legs and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I
And I
remember
didn't do any
that.
of that. I was just like, nope, I just want a simple one color cat suit. And so yeah, so over the years I worked my way up to like doing this Psylocke cat suit where it was so much color blocking and applique and stuff.
Wow. So when you say you're gluing it, is there a special kind of glue you'd use to like adhere the two together? Like, what is it? What's that process like?
Yeah, so it's a special rubber cement. I buy it on Amazon. The whole process is like you use a rubber cement thinner on the latex, and you have to like rub that on both sides of the seam that you're gluing, and then that cleans it off because it usually comes with powder, and you don't want dust and stuff, and so that makes sure that the glue will stick and create a good sandwich
Seal.
seal, yeah, something like that. So and then yeah, you do like a strip, or you kind of paint on rubber cement on both sides of the seam, and then instead of a right side to right side for sewing, it's a right side to wrong side for gluing. And that's like, again, if you had it right side to right side for latex, it would end up being on your body like this, and then the whole time it's going to be pulling away, like it's going to pull away from the glue. And so instead it's a right side to wrong side, so it has a better um,
Oh,
yeah, it has a better seal there.
cool. Wow. So when it comes to like the Psylocke suit, how many hours did it take to do that that adhering or that gluing of all those things together? Like, was that an easy process or a long process?
So I kind of left that one to the last minute. I feel like it was much more planning because both Batgirl, well, so Batgirl, I made the suit in like a heavy spandex first just to see how it would try to fit because you didn't want to waste the latex. And then, um, and so then similarly for Psylocke, I think I actually did I updated my patterns and did some latex pattern tests, and that involved like creating just the leg and seeing how it was going to fit, and if it was going to fit better and stuff like that. So, but outside of all of that, like the actual sit down, I'm going to actually glue all this stuff together, took a 3-day weekend. I
Oh,
think it was the 3-day weekend before Rose.
for
Yeah, it was
Rose
Labor
City.
Day weekend before Rose City.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay. Wow. Cool. So then for you, you have those two favorite suits there. You have the Psylocke and you have the Batgirl. Like you said, it sounded like you sort of worked your way up to Psylocke and the all that different like patterns, and not just the patterns, but just the different areas, because that's at least what, 4, 8, 12 places where you have those stripes alone, let alone the gloves and the leggings part too, huh?
yeah, something like that.
Wow. Wow, it looks great. Like you could, if you hadn't have told me, I wouldn't have thought like the legging part. Like, yeah, you could tell that's not your real skin, but like your shoulder sections, I really would have thought that was just your skin until you said something, or if I was up close to it, because it's just so, it's really well done to like look like it is the skin, which is great in some ways, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
So, what led you decide to make at least these two cosplays out of latex? What was the thought process for you?
So yeah, so I was cosplaying and started making stuff. I started sewing stuff. And then I commissioned. I liked the way latex looked. I thought I saw someone with a Supergirl latex costume at a con or something, and I was just like, "Holy crap! What is that? It looks shiny. It looks amazing. I want to check that out." And so I commissioned a designer, a latex designer through Etsy, to make me a Supergirl costume. Um, this is before I even read Supergirl comics or anything. I was just like, "Oh yeah, it's like the one with the blue top and the red skirt," not realizing that in the comics that's like a copy of her. It's not the because she usually has a blue skirt and a blue top. So yeah, so I commissioned this latex designer to make me this couple garments for this, and I wore that around. And then when I made Black Widow, so I made a comic book Black Widow, which is a black cat suit with the widow's bite gauntlet or the wrist things
Hmm.
as well,
Yeah.
and the belt. And so originally I made the suit for it out of spandex, and then I was like, you know what would make this better if I got it with a latex suit. And so I actually commissioned that same designer to make me the Black Widow, just a black latex cat suit, and the zipper stops about the belly button, and so you have that Black Widow
Oh,
cleavage. And at the time I was like, oh, we don't want a crotch zipper. That's like sex stuff or something. I don't want to like deal with that. What I found out later is that a crotch zipper is very needed at a con when you have to go to the bathroom.
oh yeah. The simple things you don't think about when you're in any
Yeah,
kind of cat suit of any kind.
exactly. So
Right?
yeah, the couple times I wore that cat suit, I would just not eat and drink all day because I couldn't go to the bathroom without like getting help to take it off, getting help to put it back on, using more lube, all that kind of stuff to get it on and stuff. So, but anyway, so at some point I was at a con, I think Big Wow Comic Con, which is now Silicon Valley Comic Con, and I was in my Black Widow latex costume, and my friends were like, "You like this latex thing? When are you going to start learning how to make it?" And I was like, "Light bulb, like, huh, okay, not a bad idea." So yeah, so I started following like tutorials online. There wasn't a lot um, out there, and the latex community they've gotten better, but it has been very secretive about their processes of how they do
Oh,
things. Um, and so that's opened up a lot over the years, but I like to think I've been a part of that, like sharing my knowledge and stuff. Um, but yeah, so I just started making my own stuff, and because of that, I've had to evolve my patterns over the years, and like I said, like start small, start with one color, and then move up to like more expansive projects.
so when it came for you, when it came to like the zipper on your Batgirl, like you said, most times you don't want to you sew things because sewing it tears. So when it comes to zippers, then how do you put a zipper on a suit that's latex? Then if you're not, are you
It
gluing
is
it? Is that what
very,
you're?
it is very complicated. Like because, like I said, you can't sew it, and so you have to, and latex does not stick to fabric.
Oh, oh, okay.
So what you have to do is you have to soak the zipper, the tape of the zipper, in the glue, and then after that, so after several layers of that glue on the zipper tape, the latex will adhere to it. And so you put it on the top of the zipper, and then you have like a reinforcement patch behind it as well. So the zipper ends up sandwiched in between the two layers of the latex that way.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. The zippers are a pain in the ass sometimes.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about your Batgirl suit. So it's all the one color, which is great, which is really great. It's very seamless. But you also have the belt and then you have the cape. Tell us more about the belt and the cape on that.
So the belt was a lot of work, and it was so I made that out of pleather, and I actually modeled it off of Abby's utility belt that she made me for the original Black Widow costume. And so I used her. I kind of just reverse engineered it, you could say, and just used her like the way she made the pockets and the pouches, and except I probably engineered it in such a way that I could sew everything flat first, so I could get it through the sewing machine, and then I finally had to like do the 3D parts and sew with a hand sewing thing. So yeah, it was a pain in the butt. I added snaps. Some of those snaps didn't work that well. I had problems with snaps for a while, and so I actually added some Velcro to the pouches instead. Um, yeah. So, and then the cape is out of latex as well, which is my first latex cape, probably be my last. Yeah, because my Supergirl cape is out of pleather now because it doesn't. What happens with the latex is it ends up sticking to the back of the costume more. The latex wants to stick to itself, even when it's chlorinated. Chlorinating, you can chlorinate latex, it won't stick to you or the latex as bad, but it still wants to stick to it. So, but yeah, so I bought a double layer latex. So it's a black and yellow, a black on one side, yellow on the other, and then I just mostly just cut out the cape shape with the ends for the Batgirl cape, and then added magnets. So magnets are really nice for adding things to latex to be able to, especially for capes and stuff like that. But in general, rather than I just like I said, snaps I've had problems with. So
Well, cool. So then, what would you say then has been your most ambitious cosplay you've created so far?
I mean, it's probably still Psylocke. That's probably like so far, right? Although we could also talk about the new ballet tutu that I made. So it's not latex. That was like basically I wanted to make a 10-layer classical ballet tutu. So I take ballet classes in my free time. And so I've started integrating that into my cosplays with point shoes and everything like that. But I wanted to make a Spider Gwen costume, but everybody does it. Everybody's doing Spider Gwen. You know, it's cute. She has point shoes, but I wanted to do something a little different. And so I was like, I'll use this to figure out how to make a ballet tutu. And so yeah, so I actually went online, paid for a subscription to this like ballet tutu making place that they actually, this is the kind of place you would go to learn how to make these things for an actual production of ballet. So yeah, so I paid for like a 3 or 6 month subscription for that to get all their videos. I bought their patterns. They pointed to these special areas like you're not supposed to, I mean, you can, but they suggest not using just regular tulle at the store. It's actually a special ballet diamond netting. It's much more stiffer for the actual tutu itself. And so yeah, so I went through this whole process. I bought the patterns. I had to go print them out, like even big on like FedEx. Had taken to FedEx and print them out on these big pieces of paper. Um, and yeah, followed these tutorials. Um, it was all sewing and stuff, but it was 10 layers of tulle or of netting, and so it was a lot of work. It was a huge undertaking. Um, and so yeah, by the end, I have a so it's basically Spider Gwen as a ballerina because she has the teal shoes, point shoes, and but she's just got like a black bodice, and then it's a black tutu with like the Spider Gwen top part of it. So the spider design that you see on her suit is the top part of
Oh,
the tutu,
wow.
and then it's just white layers of tulle, 10 layers of white tulle under there, and it's all sewn together. And so yeah, so that was a huge undertaking during 2020 that I did.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I mean the netting, like if before I sewed it all together and gathered it all, it would go like all around the house. Like it was so long. Like if you'd stack all of that netting, it would go for like I don't know, half a mile, a mile. I don't know. It's just really
Wow.
a lot of netting.
Wow, cool. So when it comes to I'm assuming like because of the latex theme of most of your cosplays that that's really been like your favorite thing to cosplay in. Would you say that's also just in general what your favorite part about cosplaying is, or is there another aspect of cosplaying that you like as well?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, for cosplay can be different for everybody. And so for some people it's all about dressing up as your favorite character. For some people it's all about the making of the costume. And I like to think that I enjoy all of those parts. But since I am more of an extrovert, I probably would still say like just walking around at a Comic Con with a latex costume and people are just like, they've never seen this before. That's like it's just such a, you can take a regular costume that everybody sees, like Supergirl, and then put a whole new spin on it that they haven't seen before. And so it's just a fun feeling to be able to show off your costume like that.
Cool. And that's one of the ones. Also, another picture you did send was of one of your few like different Supergirl cosplays. So this one is this the Red Lantern cosplay
Oh
or
yeah, Red Lantern
Supergirl?
Supergirl. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that one I did sew, but it was also my first piping project. And so that's, and it was, as you can see, it has a lot of color blocking. I would not have done this in latex first try, you know, because like I said, it's all that color blocking. So
So this
so
one
yeah,
isn't latex then. This one
no, it's
is
just, it's like a metallic spandex, which is
okay.
as shiny as you can get as spandex. So
Cool. So then you said you had a lot of the piping to do. So like all that white piping. So
yeah,
is
there's
that
like, it's red and black, and then there's like silver piping all throughout the whole thing. It's all sewing, but so you have this, like, you order this cord, basically it's like this cording, and then I wrapped a metallic silver, uh just spandex basically around it, and then so you sew these like sleeves of this metallic silver, and then it's like this pipe of black inside the silver, and then you sew the sleeves in between the seams of the spandex.
wow. That's amazing. Wow. So now the shoes on that, then those are, it looks like you have regular shoes on, but you've made shoes that like cover up regular shoes. Is that what you've done on that?
Yeah, so they are boot covers basically. A lot of
Okay.
my costumes have boot covers, and so these are spandex boot covers. They have piping on them as well. And I decided to do flats, I think, instead of heels. That, you know, I have too many costumes with heels, and so it's just like a ballet flat, inside it. And I think on the bottom of it, we tend to put. Abby taught me this. You buy this like rubber matting at at the store, and it's just like, it's meant to be like a mat, but you can put it on the bottom of the shoes, and it keeps the spandex from ripping as you're walking and stuff. So I used to glue that on. I hate hand sewing, and sewing through that hard rubber is tough. And so now I just pay Abby to do it for me.
That's what friends are for, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've paid
Wow.
Abby, I've paid Stevie, I've paid some friends to just take all of any of the costumes that had those rubber matting bottoms, and been like, all right, can you just fix these for me? I just can't. I
Yeah.
don't have the callus for it. You know, they all have these calluses from doing it all the time.
Oh
So
yeah, the callus and the patience too, probably too, right?
yeah, exactly. The boot covers also, I've done this. My first ever Psylocke costume was like this as well, where I attached the boot covers directly to a pair of tights, and so they would stay up easy. That was the thing. And so you just put the tights on, and the boots are up. And I've done the other way is actually using snaps and attaching snaps to your tights, and that keeps them up. But then after a while, you end up having to do a new pair of tights to
Oh.
resew the snaps. Of course, in this case, if I need to do a new pair of tights, I have to seam rip the whole boot cover off of the
Oh.
tights and redo it that way. So I don't know. Either way, it's tough to maintain.
So getting back to the Supergirl one, I noticed is that a different kind of piping on that upper leg part that sort of looks like a diamond shape, or is that same kind of pipe?
Oh yeah, so that's just some silver spandex, on the top of the boots. Yeah, I just sewed on spandex. I think I used like a black backing or something to give it a little more shape
Edge.
there, and those are directly sewn onto the tights.
And the cape for that one, notice it sort of looks like it's sort of like attaches around you like a harness almost, isn't it?
Yeah, I went with that instead of the standard, like Batgirl has one that just goes right in front. Supergirl tends to have it like it goes inside the costume. So I think it was based on reference pictures, or it was just I wanted something easier. And so it actually each has a snap on both sides, and then it goes
Oh,
under your arms and
cool.
behind you, and then snaps behind you. So
Oh, neat. That's cool. So then you don't have to worry about these odd shapes up here at the shoulders or right
yeah,
here.
exactly.
Excellent. Cool. So for you, what has been the thing that's helped you when you're hitting an obstacle or hitting a challenge to creating something? What helps motivate you to keep going?
Um, I think sometimes taking a break, and then for me, like I've only been cosplaying since 2013, and so it's also asking for help, asking for other people's expertise, and then it's also being good to yourself. Like if this doesn't work out perfectly, like redo it next time, but still like continue forward. And I think a lot of my costumes have been like that, where I saw all the flaws, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. You get this costume done, and you're just like not as happy as you thought you would be with it, just because of whatever. But then you take it to Comic Con, and it takes great pictures. Everybody loves it. Nobody sees all the flaws that you see necessarily. So yeah, so there's just a good some good advice about just being good to yourself and pushing forward. And I've remade so many of my costumes. So just if there's something that's, that's difficult or didn't turn out how you want it to, and you don't feel like seam ripping the whole thing all over again, then just push forward and try to redo it later.
I think it's a great attitude to have, is not let it overwhelm you. And if you are starting to feel that way, just to take a step back and like take a break if you need to in some way. So that's great. Cool. So when it comes to cosplay, is there anything you're working on right now that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah. So once again, well, I guess first off, I can say I made two new Supergirls last year in 2020. Um, One was a latex cartoon Supergirl, which is the white top and the blue skirt. Um, and then I also made or not a latex, a Supergirl tutu as well. So after making that huge project, I went right into the next tutu. It was only an 8 layer and it was a stretch tutu, so it was a little easier for me because I'm much more into spandex and stretchy fabrics. So yeah, so those are things I made in 2020. I'm hoping to show off at some cons soon. But my latest thing that I'm really trying to finish um, is the new CW Supergirl. It's a cat suit. The actress made a big deal, like, "Oh, I get pants or whatever." And so for me, of course, it's a latex cat suit. I'm gonna reuse the pleather cape I already have, and I had Huntress Creations create me like the belt and some of the ornaments because that's something I do now. I specialize in the latex and stuff like that, and then I just have my friends, prop makers. I pay them to do some of these other things, and then I get to showcase their stuff in the process anyway. So yeah, so I've been working on that on stream here and there. I live stream on Twitch, and I'm almost done. I've probably got like 10 seams to glue left for that catsuit to be finished.
Cool. That sounds exciting. I can't wait to see it when it's all put together. And I would love to definitely jump on your Twitch streams and watch you doing that. That must be fun to like have that, not just but he's sitting there working on it, but like in a way you have like a group of people that are like sort of interacting with you as you're doing it. So that sounds really cool too.
Yeah, it's nice because I didn't mention it earlier, but when you glue each seam, you have to give it about 5 minutes before it gets tacky before you actually glue it. And so it is nice to have a little bit of downtime, just hang out with people in the stream and that kind of stuff.
Neat. That's great. So when it comes to cons, what has been your favorite con you have been to?
This is such a hard question. um, I want to say one of my first favorite cons was Rose City, just because it was small, it was inviting, we made a lot of friends. It's gotten a lot bigger in the last few years. um, and in the last couple of years, I've actually gone to a lot of the bigger cons too, like San Diego and New York. Um, and we went to Dragon Con in 2016 as well. Um, so yeah, so it's really hard to pin down the favorite, but I tell people Emerald City because that's where all my friends are, and I'm gonna know the most amount of people. I'm gonna feel the most comfortable because I know where everything is. Um, yeah, there's just gonna be more hangouts. We're not gonna be as wondering like where the parties are or what's going on because we just kind of know. So I think that's helpful in that.
Cool. That's awesome. It's nice to like travel to see other cons and what they're like, but to have that one con that every year you're looking forward to going to is always feels special, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us more about the music video, the parody videos of you. Like what made you decide, hey, I want to do this? What led you into that?
Sure. Um, so this started last year during the pandemic. I was such a struggle for me as a cosplayer. For someone who really loves the part of showing my costume off, it was a struggle, and I had no. I just I got some costumes made, but after a while, I just had no motivation to make anything new. And so I turned to making videos. I turned to YouTube. I turned to we're going to talk about it at some point, I think, but Cheer Seattle. And so I started making videos originally raising funds for Cheer Seattle, and in those videos I was like me, the cheerleader, talking to me as a cosplay character. And so I started using the green screen, started kind of playing around with video editing more. Um, and so at some point that for some reason it was bye bye bye. Yeah, I wrote lyrics that was to a song called "COVID Bye Bye Bye," and so that was my first parody. And then it was Pride Month, and so I wrote a parody to Thriller called Pride Month, because it's Pride Month instead of Thriller. Um, and so I put that was a medley, and I put that together, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute, whatever. But I really wanted to do this Britney "Oops, I Did It Again" parody, and it was all about like being in quarantine and all this stuff going on. It was a great way for me to express my frustration, um, and get into some dancing, throw some costumes into it. And so I made this huge production of this thing, had some friends in it, and then got that out in September, October, I think. And then I finally made an aerial one at the end of the year that was all about like so it was called "Sometime Next Year." It was her "Part of Your World" song. So it's her yearning for the human life, and it's like me yearning for my old life pre-pandemic. Um, and so yeah, I think at the end of that, at the end of the year, I was just like, all right, this is it. That's the last song. It's I'm just gonna we're gonna go back to normal, and I'm just gonna get back to cosplaying and not worry about this. And then when that didn't happen in January, I just started cranking these things out, and I just started realizing like I really love writing. I'm a writer. I've written a couple books. Um, I've written poetry, and so writing the lyrics was such a huge thing. Really writing clever lyrics is really fun. The music production, the video production is all fun as well. But I feel like I thrive with the lyric writing part. And so yeah, so I just started cranking these out, and now it's kind of this like new hobby that I'm doing when I'm at home, and I'll probably still continue doing even after going back to cons and stuff. It's just I get enjoyment out of creation. I'm a creator, is what it is. So whether it's cosplay or music video parodies.
Cool. That's exciting. I've seen a few of them, but I want to go now. I want to go back and watch all of them again. That's really great that you were able to find a way of, like, you're talking about creation, like you found a way of getting that creative spirit, like an avenue and in a way of like using it that you weren't used to because you lost. Like, I think a lot of us in the community were losing like this aspect of who we were because of the pandemic. So I think it was great that you found like an avenue to get that energy out and to express it. So that's really great.
Yeah, me too. It's how I survived.
So getting back to the question of the con, what is a con you would love to attend that you haven't attended?
I've gone to some of the dream cons now. It's kind of funny. But I'd love to, I guess I'd like to say I'd love to re-attend Dragon Con. Like I said, we went in 2016. It was a blast.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna go again in 2020. I probably won't go this year. I've got some other plans. Um, and plus I'm still wary of like going to some of these cons too early and having all these mask policies and trying to figure that out, how to coordinate that with costumes and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So I'm kind
totally.
of hoping that next year we won't have to worry about that anyway. So
Yeah. So what was when you went to Dragon Con, what was the aspect for you? Because there's so many different, like, that con is so different than other cons because it's like
so different.
a con on con. It's like con on top of con going all at once. So like for you, what was like your favorite part about that con?
Yeah, like you go to a regular Comic Con and you spend a lot of time in the exhibition hall. You spend a lot of time hanging out with people in the halls, going to panels, stuff like that. And when we went to Dragon Con, it felt like we didn't do any of that. I mean, there was an exhibition hall. We walked through it once, but no, we're hanging out in the hotel. It's like all these hotels together, and we're hanging out in the Marriott atrium where there's a bar, and we're all in costume. We're all hanging out with people. You see your friends coming by, coming and leaving, coming by, and it's just this constant like hangout. Um, what was really fun in 2016 was we made our, this was before I became a cheerleader. We made our X-Men cheerleaders costumes. So Abby was Rogue and I was Psylocke, and we were cheerleaders versions. Um, and so we got to a point where we would stand on the sidelines and just start like doing cheers for the random characters that we see walking by. And yeah, just the, I don't know, just a fun, like a very extroverted uh, setup, I think. And so what we would do is we would drink and hang out until like 3 a.m. and we we'd have to take a lift because we didn't stay at the hotel. We last minute had to figure out our stayover stuff. We found an Airbnb, and so we'd take a lift to this Airbnb. It's just a room in someone's place, and then we'd zonk out, and then we'd wake up and we'd go back to con by like 2 p.m. And so it was this weird schedule of, in fact, we were probably still on Pacific time. No, even then
Oh,
we would have been sleeping late. But yeah, it's just a whole different experience. And I have more friends that I met there
yeah.
that will be there again I didn't have before. So
I definitely have it on my list of ones to eventually go to too. So that's cool. I'm glad you got to
awesome.
enjoy it. Cool. So when it comes to getting advice, like you've had, in a way, you've had that connection with Abby Stu from the very beginning. So what's one piece of advice you would want to bestow upon someone else who's new to cosplay?
I think so. People often ask me, they want to get into cosplay, and they're like, they're either like, who do I look like? What's the character I look like? Or do I look like this character? Or they're like, they're very honed in on like just looking the part. And I'm just like, you've already missed the point of cosplay. So I always encourage people to cosplay characters you're excited about, cosplay characters you're passionate about. It doesn't matter if you buy it, you make it. Doesn't matter if you've never made it and maybe it doesn't look up to what someone else might make, who's been doing it for 10 years. Doesn't matter. Like the point is to like be the character that you want to be and have fun with it. And so that's what I'm always trying to encourage people, that one, everyone can cosplay, and two, cosplay the character or characters that inspire you.
That's great. Awesome. So that's just wonderful, that that kind of advice I think is really helpful, because like you said, like you got to get out of your head and think, I need to like figure out who's the cosplay I should do, as opposed to just doing what you think is fun, whatever it is, whoever it is. So that's really
Yep.
cool. Thanks. All your cosplays are just so creative and impressive. I just love how you've been able to express yourself in so many different ways with these characters. And like you said, you're not just sticking to one character and feeling like, oh, this is who I am as a character. I'm doing the characters I love, and I just want to keep doing it. I think that's really great. So impressive.
Thanks. Yeah, and I mean, some people, want to be one character and only one character, and that's great too. I just now I'm at a point where even playing video games, I'm getting new ideas for costumes, and it's just like there's too many ideas that I'll never run out. So
Isn't it hard? Like you're watching something, and you're like, oh, it's a hmm. And then you're like, no, I don't wait. I could I wait? Oh no. Next thing you know, you're wearing it. You're like, how did I get here?
yeah, exactly. How did this happen? It's like he on click, he hits the remote and he's like, "Take me to when this happens." Like suddenly I have the costume on.
And there's like pieces of it everywhere.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's actually a new one that I really want to do. It's from like an anime video game called Neptunia.
Oh,
Um, and it's basically about these magical girls basically that you transform into these goddesses. And the goddess form of the main character is called Purple Heart. And it's this black, like latex looking thing with like teal light up things. And it's just like so like if I ever do it, it will be very difficult to do. And I was talking to another cosplay friend, Ariel, about how do we do this LEDs for this stuff, because I don't know, I don't have the knowledge for that kind of stuff, but she does. So yeah, I don't know, maybe in the future, but man, it's just such a some of these costumes are so um, there's just so much to them.
yeah, there's so much to them. Like, let's talk about Cheer Seattle. Like, that's your organization that you feel is doing some good in the world and you want people to know about. So tell me more about that. I really want to know more about that.
Yeah, sure. Story time. Actually, it was about 10 years ago, and I was like, oh man, there's like all this, you know, there's all these sports teams, and there's like cheerleading for like the Seahawks and stuff like that, but it's like there's no like recreational cheerleading. Like there's recreational like soccer, there's recreational, all these things, but there's no recreational cheerleading. And so just remember being bummed about that and trying to figure out if there's anything out there and not finding anything 10 years ago. And so apparently some other people had that same idea 6 or 7 years ago. And so they started this team, Cheer Seattle. And that basically is just, it's an adult volunteer organization. So you have to be 18 to be part of the organization. And I mean, it's a huge commitment. You have practice every Tuesday night all season. That's September through June. And basically you learn cheers, you learn jumps, you learn stunting, like putting people up in the air and all kinds of crazy stunts, tumbling. Just there's a lot more to cheerleading than people think usually. And then so what they do is they go out into the community and perform, cheer at like running events and sporting events, perform at halftime events or for like even business events, stuff like that, and basically collect donations for doing that and raising funds for a beneficiary every year that the team votes on. And so the beneficiary has been in the past usually some sort of LGBT organization in the greater Seattle community. And so the last 2 years, it's been Gen Pride, which is an organization for LGBT seniors, and just trying to like connect LGBT seniors with each other, and put on programs for them. And then hopefully they're trying to start a retirement center for LGBT seniors as well. Um, so anyway, so yeah, so as Cheer Seattle, so I saw a friend of mine post a selfie with them at Pride in 2019. And I was like, me, like having wanted to do this 10 years ago, this was 2019. And so I was like, what the heck is Cheer Seattle and why have I not heard about this? And so, so yeah, and this is a couple years into ballet class. I swear I get new hobbies every year or two. And so, and so I tried out for the cheer team and that, like I said, that was 2019. And so I went to like Honolulu Pride, helped out at Palm Springs Pride. We performed, we raised funds. Like I said, I even in 2020, the pandemic, when we were stuck inside, I was like had a Facebook fundraiser and I was making videos to try to raise funds. So it's an awesome organization that not only raises funds for the local Seattle community, but it also gives like us LGBT people and allies in the community that want to be athletic and want to cheerlead or want to learn how to cheerlead, a space to do that and have this team bonding and just have this awesome, like staying fit time together. And it's a really awesome organization. I am getting ready to start my third year in September for the next season, and I've actually joined the board of directors as well. So it's an awesome organization, and
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. So you gave me one of the pictures you gave me, or is of you in your cheerleading outfit. Did you make that, or is that something you guys like buy from like a company and get like?
yeah. So the thing about a lot of nonprofits is like how much of the money is actually going to um, the causes, right? And so no, every volunteer has to pay for their cheerleading uniform, and so yeah, we have a committee, artistic committee that goes over and figures out how the uniform should look, orders them, all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, when you join the team, you have to pay for it, but it's several $100s, but you get to buy a uniform and wear it for the all the performances. So yeah.
Cool. That's neat. I think it's great that this organization exists as a way for people to have another form of outlet to commute, to like be a community, but also to like help out in the community. So it's not just going and doing something, but you're also giving back in a way. So I think that's really great. It's a twofold organization. That's really great. So cool. I'm excited to learn more about it and share it with other people. So if you're out there watching this, there'll be a link to Cheer Seattle in the description, so you can check that out.
Yay.
Cool. Where can anyone find you online, Jerikandra? What's the best place to see what you're doing or what you're doing next?
Yeah, the best place, I'm really starting to get off social media as much because of all the algorithms that make it so nobody sees my stuff. And so I've transitioned this year to a website. And so I post there the most often. And on the website, it'll point to my social media as well. But yeah, it's just jerikandra.com.
Cool. Awesome. And so you're doing your Twitch streamings. How often are you on there doing Twitch or
Yeah,
on streaming, I should say?
I'm averaging about three nights a week. Whether I'm video gaming, making latex, there's some like just quick chatting streams as well as some fitness. Yeah, just kind of hanging out with the Twitch community there.
Cool. And they can find all the links to everything on your website, jerikandra.com.
Yeah, and you can also just search Jerikandra and you'll find all my other stuff like YouTube. Twitch, all that stuff, Facebook, everything.
Awesome. Is there like a constant or schedule of when you're posting stuff on YouTube, or is it whenever you get it done, you throw it on there?
Yeah, YouTube ends up being a place where I post clips from Twitch as well as music videos and stuff. And then I do Vlogmas, so I video log in December. um,
Cool.
and then Twitch tends to be that I have a schedule for Twitch, and I post that on the website. So
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing and bringing all your fun, amazing cosplays for us to learn more about, and especially latex. That's just another avenue of sharing and doing cosplay that I think a lot of people don't know about. So it's really great to share it. Thanks
yeah,
again.
latex.
Yay. So everyone out there, if you want to know more about Jerikandra, Cheers Seattle, or me, looking down below are the links for doing that. And if you have any questions for me or for Jerikandra, please leave them in the comments. Tell us what your favorite aspect of cosplay is, or what you saw today that you really liked that you maybe want to know more about. Share us in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like and share this video with others. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. And that way you'll know when the next video is coming out and see what else I'm doing. So thanks again for coming, Jerikandra. So everyone should know that cosplay is something it's out there and wonderful. So we just want you to know
Cosplay is for everyone.
And again, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.